Here's the headline of your latest column. Why are Republicans raising taxes on millions of Americans? In the Washington Post, you are very critical of this tax plan. Why?
Well, I'm actually supportive of the tax plan overall, but the problem with it is that a lot of people in the middle class are not going to get a tax cut. About 1 in 4 Americans are not going to get a tax cut, and about 14% of middle-class voters, middle-class Americans, are going to see their taxes increase. That shouldn't happen under a Republican tax plan. And we're right now, you know, the bill is kind of in a mess. They're going to House Senate conference to work out the differences between the bill and try and get it to the president's desk. But the problem is that right now the phones of those. I want to stop you right there,
though, Mark. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but
go ahead.
The American people are so confused. I mean, it's a conversation everywhere. It's like, are your taxes going up or are they going down? People really cannot figure this out. So help them, because you've dug into the numbers here. And in your column, you cite studies from the Joint Committee on Taxation and the Tax Policy Center. You say that they both come to the same conclusion, which is basically almost 1 in 10 Americans are actually going to see their tax bill go up as a result of this. Tell us how do they come to that conclusion? What numbers are they using?
They're looking at, so the Republican bill, basically what it does is it lowers rates, and it gets rid of a lot of deductions, but increases the standard deduction, doubles the standard deduction, and so people are left to figure out, well, you know, am I a winner or a loser in this? Does losing all my deductions that I have, but also getting
Who wins?
We don't, but that's the problem. Under a Republican government, they shouldn't be asking that question. We shouldn't be raising taxes on anybody. The Republican Party's mantra for years has been, it's your money, it's not the government's money. You should keep more of your money so you could save and invest it or spend it as you see fit on the needs of your family. If you need a little bit more money to pay your mortgage or to put your kids through school or to save for college, you should have that money. Republicans should not be raising taxes, especially on the middle class, and 14% of middle-income Americans are going to see a tax increase under this bill. And then the other problem is, quite frankly, Sandra, in the last minute in the Senate bill, they reinstated the alternative minimum tax. Now, the alternative minimum tax is complicated, but what it is basically it's a parallel tax code. And Americans are forced to calculate their taxes 2 ways under 2 different systems, and whichever one is higher, they have to pay the higher rate. That's a horrible system that the Republicans should not be including in a tax bill, and it hits particularly not wealthy people. Wealthy people don't pay it. It hits middle-income families. It hits double-income families, people where both parents are working, who have a mortgage to pay, and the more kids you have, the more likely you're to pay it. We should not be doing that. There should be no alternative minimum tax under a Republican government.
Your column does not mince words. You say this should never happen under a unified Republican government. There are 4 words that no American should ever be able to utter. Republicans raised my taxes. Under this bill, millions will. What changes between now and the next couple of weeks then, Mark?
They've got time to fix some of these problems, but they need to reorient themselves. The problem is they're very focused on corporations and the donor class, and not focused enough on the middle class. So right now, their phones are ringing with CEOs and wealthy donors who are trying to get fixes for their bottom line. Individual taxpayers don't have a direct line to the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader, so they can't advocate for themselves. We need to remember, look, the Republican Party is borrowing $1.5 trillion in order to provide a massive tax cut for corporations from 35 to 20%. If next November voters go to the polls and they don't get a tax cut, or they see their taxes increase, and Republicans borrowed $1.5 trillion for tax cuts, they're going to punish them in the polls. So we need to start thinking about the voters and not the donors.
Your point is taken, and you conclude your piece by quoting Chairman Brady, saying, at every step we've worked to improve this. I would say at the end of the day, wait till the final bill, to use his words.